Hello friends, hope you're doing well. So in my previous video, I shared with you how to make this shape retaining pleated mask with the filter pocket at the back that you can slide through filter or a surgical mask. So in today's video, I share with you the same mask but much simpler version and so much quicker to make. It's the same pleated mask that keep all its pleats when you're wearing it, and it has no filter pocket, but it has a third layer of interfacing sewn in between the two cotton fabrics. So it's so much quicker to make. It's just a simple mask for summer, and again, the interfacing is optional if you want to bypass it because it's so hot out there. You can just use the 2 layers of fabrics to make this very quick mask. It takes me about less than 15 minutes to make it. So let's get started. You will need 1 piece of fabric for the front and 1 piece of lightweight interfacing, and the one I use here is Pellon 830, and it's not an iron-on interfacing because I'm trying to avoid the chemicals for the iron-on interfacing. So this one you need to sew it with the fabric. So both the front panel and the interfacing are cut to the same size, which is 8 inches by 8 inches. You also need another piece for the back side of the mask and cut to 8 inches wide, which is the same width as the front panel, and 7.5 inches tall, just half inches shorter than the front panel. And you will also need 2 small pieces to make the casings, and they are 2 inches wide and 4.5 inches tall, and 2 pieces of elastics as well. I cut mine at 8.5 inches. Okay, so these are the materials. So the first step, since we are not making the filter pocket because we will have interfacing sewn into this mask, so we are gonna stitch all 3 layers all together. So we will treat the interfacing as and the front panel as if they are 1 piece of fabric. So first you wanna line them up. They are the same size. As if they are just 1 piece of fabric. Okay, so this is the right side, and this is the back side of the mask, which have the same width of 8 inches, but it's a little bit short this way. So we line up the edge, both edges on the top, and then we will stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Stitch all the way across the top. You don't have to worry about back stitching on both ends because they will be hidden later. So we will stitch it really quick on the sewing machine right now. So right now it looks like this. There's a 1/2 inch difference between the front side and the back side. So then we're gonna stitch this side together. So what you do is you bring the front and the back side panel, just grab it and bring it up to the edge so they all lined up, and then stitch them together. Same seam allowance, 1/4 inch. Stitch 1 line here to sew them together. Just double check your lining. They're still in the correct spot. Okay, just stitch it really quick. we're gonna turn them right side out. So you will see, because the back panel is a little bit shorter, when you after you press it, it should look like this. So pay attention that you see a little bit of a front panel fabric peeking on both sides. That way, when you look at the mask at the front side, you won't see any of this back panel. So just make sure it looks like this. See the fabric here and here, and then you can just press it down using your fingernail, or you can use an iron. Okay, and then we will top stitch this side and this side with seam allowance 1/8 of an inch. Again, you don't have to worry about back stitching here because they will be covered. And we'll do the same thing for the other side. So after we top stitch both edges, we will be creating our pleats. It's really simple actually. So what you do is you fold the fabric in half this way, and then we will stitch all this layer together with the 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way. Okay, do it really quick on the machine. So the first line, it looks like this. Okay, so the second line, what you do is turn to the back side and you fold it. You grab the bottom half, fold it so the edge of the fabric is aligned with this line you just made, right on top of each other. Your fingernail or use your iron and bring this to the sewing machine. You will do exactly the same thing we just did for that line. Stitch all the way across with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and after that do the same thing again with the top half of the mask. Fold it down and until this edge align with this line, the middle line. Okay, and press and stitch one line all the way across. So the next step will just be creating the pleats, and because we've stitched all these lines, it will be really easy to just grab each one and then just simply fold down, and you just eyeball and make sure all the lines are parallel with each other. And we just want to double check. So the side will be maybe like 3 inches and a quarter tall. It really doesn't matter. Like you can make it 3 inches if you want to. Let's just do it like this. So just double check, make sure the pleats looks even and that all the lines are parallel. And at this point, I like to just even out the raw edges, just trim just a little bit so it's clean and it's easier to sew it that way later. Okay. This is a brand new rotary cutter. so the blade is pretty sharp. If you don't have a rotary cutter, I highly recommend getting one. It will make it so much easier. It's a lot easier using it than using your scissor when you're trying to cut the fabric. Okay, let's trim this side. Okay. Alright, so right now it's about like 7 inches and 3/4. So let's just quickly clip all the folds. Okay, and then we will grab these 2 little pieces that we have to make the casings. So if you want, you can stitch them just quickly just to hold the pleats in place, or you can just move on to this next step. It's up to you. So I'm just gonna move on to making the casings. So with this fabric, what you're gonna do is make the right side, put the right side against the right side. You can take this off for now. So just align the raw edges and try to center this fabric. So just double check, make sure this side and this side have the same amount of fabric. Then you clip them together again. The mask over. And you just fold this piece down. Just make sure it's snug against the edge of the mask. Just fold it down and clip it in place. Do the same thing for this side. Alright. We move on to this side. Just repeat that step. Sure it's centered pretty much. Flip it over and you fold this down. Okay, in the next step, we will just bring the mask to the sewing machine and sew like right here, all the way down, top to bottom. Let's do 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And so you sew it this way, and the same thing for this side. Okay. Make sure you do back stitch here. And also I want to point out the beauty of having this piece of casing fabric between the mask and your machine is it will make the mask, all the pleats glide through under the presser foot between the feed dog. It will just make it glide through really smoothly and nothing will get caught under the presser foot. So I really like making casing this way. And back stitch. You can take these clips off. We'll just do the same thing for this side. See, it just glides through. There's no struggle whatsoever. Okay, you can move these clips. So it looks like this right now for both sides. Okay, you see? Next step, you turn the mask to the front side and you grab this fabric, you just pull them down, put it down, okay, and then turn to the back side again. Okay, so with your fingernail you just press the edge, but instead of pressing it straight down, what I like to do is I grab the fabric so it tapers in just a little bit, not too much, on both sides. See that it tapers in like this way, just a little bit, and then you fold this up once and then twice until you, so this edge here, once you fold it up, you want it to cover this stitch line you just made. And because we taper the edge, so on the front side you won't see any of this back panel peeking through. So when you check on the side, you can see this is the front side of the casing, this is the back side. The edge lined up pretty good. That's what you want. So double check. You have it at the position you want, just clip it. Like this. And then we'll do this side. Taper it in just a little bit. And then fold it once. And then twice to cover that stitch line. Double check. Looks pretty good. And clip it. Bring this to the machine. I like to do the next step with the back side of the mask facing me, because that way I know all this layer will get stitched up together. Because if I do it from the front side, sometimes the back, in some area it might not get caught altogether. So do it from this side. So the next step you want to do is just stitch a line 1/8 of an inch from the edge of this casing, so all the way down like this, and the same thing all the way down one line. Okay, don't forget to back stitch here and here. One thing I like to point out is instead of starting right at the edge where there are multiple layers of fabrics, I like to start somewhere here and then go back this way and then come back down, so that way it won't get caught. Sometimes there are too many layers of fabric, it doesn't want to move smoothly. Okay, see, and go back and come back down again. Back stitch. Okay. Look like these. And the front, it looks like these. Alright, so we'll do this side. Same thing. basically done at this point for this mask. And I forgot to mention earlier, I chose not to do a nose wire, but you're welcome to add it. Before you put in this casing, you can add the nose wire inside and sew it together. Okay, just do it before you make this casings. All right, let's move on to the very last step. And the elastic I bought is a thin rope shaped elastic that's 5 32 inches wide. So I usually do heat seal the end, just like these. It's really quick. It's for 1 second, and that will seal the end so it won't fray later. But you might want to double check and just make sure you can heat seal the elastic you have at hand. Okay, so I've already threaded this side. So what you want to do is you can use a threading tool like these, or use a hair clip. And I've seen people use a crochet hook to thread it. So just basically, this tool, I think it's made for flat elastic, but if I flatten the end of this rope shape elastic a little bit, I can thread it through. If I can see it. Pull it through like these. And as always, I like to tie adjustable knot so we will be able to adjust the length of the ear loops later. Usually I tie slip knots, and we'll do it a little differently for this mask. So what you want to make sure first is if you want to do one knot here, and you want to do the same thing at the same side of the mask. Let me just show you what I mean. So I'm gonna go for the bottom side. We know that this is the bottom side because when you wear the mask, all the pleats should be facing down. So your nose is here, and here your chin goes here. So this is the bottom side. So with the bottom side, I'll just tie one just simple knot like these. This is the other side. This will be the side later when we finish the ear loop. This will be the end that we grab and pull to adjust the length of the ear loops. So for this side, we tie a knot as well, just like what we just did. But before you pull this through and close this knot, you hold this loop in your hand. You grab the other end, just thread it through the loop. Make sure the knot you just made is above this loop, and then you close it up, this knot. So now, and then later when you wear it, you can just simply grab this little tail and adjust it to make it shorter or make it longer. It's pretty easy. Okay, let's do this. So hopefully this is really easy to make for you. And I also have another video of this mask. It's the same version of this, basically the same mask, but with a filter pocket option on the back. So no filter pocket, and this one has filter pocket. So you can slide in your filter material, or you can slide in a surgical mask in between. It's big enough for that. Or of course you can just wear it as is. And this one also has a layer of interfacing in between. So make sure you also check out this video for this mask, and maybe you give both of them a try and let me know which one you prefer. Okay, so give them a try and stay healthy. Thank you.